Hey, this is Ivan, and this video is about a cool concept, the way people think. And I would suggest this idea about the thinking process, and I have to give you an example right here in the park. It's very peaceful, it's very nice, the only peaceful place in New York City, in the park, Central Park. It's pretty huge, and you can find some peace here. So here is the concept. The concept is, I will try to formulate it because there's no script in this video. I'll try to simply formulate it like this. When somebody tells you anything, you should look at this as him or her giving you a thought. Like what he is speaking, it's directly derived from his mind and way of thinking. So, the simple concept, right? Do not see what people tell you like a blank statement and bunch of words put together in a sequence, but rather like a thought, like a thinking process. And the question in you should be how this person thinks, what is the way they think, and question number two, what exactly they want to tell you. So now I will introduce this other concept, that every person has a different way of thinking. Some people have a similar way of thinking, some people have semi-similar way of thinking, some people have very similar, but there's no two people in the world that do have the same thinking process. And it's a fact, and the reason for that is because a person gets the way he thinks from personal experience, partially, observing the environment, and then personal experience and his or her past. So now the concept is this: when somebody tells you something, don't accept it as a saying, a slogan, or because it's not gonna hit your mind as a bunch of words. The words are just pointing towards the thought. The words are just expression of the way of the thinking of the other person. So now, my suggestion on this thing is simply this: when somebody tells you anything, you should just hold on of what he says, and then you should make a pause, and during the period of this pause, you should take like an omni point of view, reflecting on that particular thought. You got that? Did you understand what I just said now? So, somebody tells you a stream of words, you see it as a way of this person thinking, and then you acquire this information as a stream of thoughts, and then you pause, and then you do not react. In other words, you don't blurb back and you don't conversate, you just pause a little bit and reflect on that person's thought. But the way you're reflecting it, it's crucial. Now if you do it one way, which is left and right, or back and front, up and down, that is not the way that I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting to reflect on his thought from every possible point. It's a hard process to do at first, but once you get this concept, you're gonna get better. So if somebody say something, blah 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 blah, you pause, you hold, you see this is not just a bunch of words, this is a concept, a way of thinking, and then you observe this stream of thought from any possible direction. Let's say you have like 3 characters in your character, in your soul or spirit, whatever you call it, you have like 20 sub-personalities or whatever. You can hold this thought and look through the point of view of all these sub-personalities or people living in your head, or whatever you might call this kind of things. Different angle. If somebody tells you something that is kind of threatening, right? So you may become argumentative with him because he is kind of sending threatening energy to you. Well, a good tactic to be not to bounce off with your threatening subpersonality, but just to hold this his way of expressing himself or herself, pause it, look at his saying as a stream of words, but as well as a stream of thoughts, and observe these thoughts from many different points of view. Maybe antagonistic guy or a girl, maybe a good guy or a girl, maybe a Samaritan, the good Samaritan, or maybe a separate observer that has nothing to do with what the other guy say. And there are so many possibilities. As many atoms in the universe, there are so many possibilities to observe somebody else's stream of thoughts or consciousness. So you got the idea. I hope you got the idea. I said bunch of words here. That video, it's quite deep meaning. So so first of all, pause, observe the thinking process of the person, and don't react immediately. Just think a little bit through a omni kind of observer point of view. You should say like, interesting, what this person exactly means. And then you should say, does he means or she means exactly what I think? And that is kind of, it will give you clarity. If you try to implement this technique in your life, it will give you a long-term clarity. What really happened in our lives, we are a bunch of talking machines that blah blah blah, and the other person blah blah blah, and the other person blah blah blah, and that's usually leads to some kind of fights or antagonistic kind of relationship or antagonistic kind of thought exchange. I'm suggesting some else. I'm suggesting the omni way of observing people stream of consciousness. The omni way. You just pause and look at his words and thoughts through 360 degrees, 5,000 whatever degrees. A sphere has how many? A sphere has how many points? Many points, right? In infinite points of consciousness. So you can reflect on somebody's consciousness, in other words, through many different streams of consciousness, your consciousness. In other words, do not just react. Pause, think. I mean, pause is like a couple of seconds, sometimes minutes. And I will give one example that it's very relevant to this video. I do not remember the name of some super intelligent person, and he was giving a lecture in some super prestigious university, let's say Harvard or Princeton or Yale, or we do not know what the hell is it. I don't remember the story, but I can extract the principle for you. And supposedly this person was like the guru, the wise man, the super intelligent person. He knew it a lot. And they asked him a question. Somebody from the auditorium, somebody from the audience asked him a question. And then he paused and he did not answer the question. He did not answer the question because he didn't know the answer at the moment. And everybody in this room was expecting that he will immediately answer the question. And he took like, I do not know how accurate is this in the story, but it took like 20 or 30 minutes to be doing some thinking to give the answer of the person that was asking the question. And that was shocking for all the people. He built up a big expectation what he will say. First of all, he didn't do it purposely. He didn't know the answer, but the idea is here that Everybody expected this person to be so smart and so intelligent, so all-knowing, all the answers, and they was the pupils. They was a bunch of younger people, probably also very intelligent people. But he didn't give the answer for at least 30 minutes, and then he was thinking and thinking. So his pausing took like 30 minutes to answer a simple question that he was supposed to ask. He was supposed to answer in almost in instantaneous moment, but he did not. So that's my 10 cents and 39 seconds for the day. If you like this kind of talks, subscribe to the channel.